Hello students, Standard 8 Revision of Physics chapter number 1 Force and Pressure. Now we learned that a pull or a push that is applied on object is known as the force. And force come into play when at least two objects have interaction. So when there is an interaction between two or more than two objects, it results into the force. Means force can come into play. Without interaction, it is impossible to force come into play. Now, when we know that forces on an object, if we apply the forces, more than one forces, then finally the effect of the force will be due to the final force or the net force. So how can we understand what will be the net force? We know that when we apply more than two force on an object in the same direction, then the forces are added. Means we have to add all the forces. That will be the net force that will be applying on that object. And if the forces are in the opposite direction, then the forces will be subtracted. Means there will be a difference of the forces. Greater force minus lower force. And when the two forces are applied on the same object of same magnitude but opposite direction, then the net force will be zero. And in this situation there will be no effect of the force will be observed. And that is known as balance force. About that you will learn later on also. Now force is usually expressed by its magnitude, but along with the magnitude the direction is also very important. Because when we apply the force, the object may move in the direction of the force. Now, we already know what is the force, but now we have to understand that when we apply the force on an object, what can be the effect of the forces on the object? Means, what can that forces do on that object? Before we go there, let us understand about the state of motion. We know that the state of motion, to understand that it is described by speed and direction of motion of the object. So we know that the object can have two situations. Either object is at rest. Actually this at rest is also a motion with zero speed. Means it is also a state of motion, but here the speed is zero, therefore it is not moving, but it is also understand as motion, state of motion. And if it is moving, then it is obviously the state of motion. So, an object may be at rest or in motion. Both are its state of motion. Means either it is at rest or it is in the motion. In the both the situation, it is regarded as a state of motion. When it is at rest, speed will be zero. When it is motion, it will have a particular speed. So, both the situation are regarded as its state of motion. Now we understand, we will talk about the effects of forces. It means that when we apply the force on an object, what changes can be there in the object due to the forces. To understand that, first is that a force can change the state of motion. For example, if we talk about first that when an object is at rest, when an object is at rest and we apply the force, then what changes can be in that object? And you have observed that so many times. Maybe you are walking and there is something lying in between your way. Then what do? You just kick it. It means you are applying the force. Then what happens? It can start moving. Suppose a ball is at rest on the floor. Then if you kick it or you hit it with your hand or you take a stick and apply force with the stick, then what will happen? The ball will start moving. Means from rest, it can come into motion. So that is the first effect of the force. It may make an object move from rest. So, when it is at rest, if you apply the force, it may, means not always, sometimes it cannot be moved also. If it is very heavy material, like a big stone, and if you kick it, maybe it will not move. So it may, we use the word not perfectly, it may make an object move from rest. So whenever we apply the force, it is not necessary that it will move, but it can make the object move from the rest. So that is the first effect of the force, that it may start moving from rest. Second thing, suppose it is already in motion, then there are two things or three things will be there. Suppose a ball is moving towards you, and then if you make a hit again in the same direction, then what will happen? Will it move from the same speed? No, it will fast move. It will move faster than before. Means its speed is increasing. Or there is another situation also. If it is coming towards you and you just put a hand and take back, so it will touch your hand, but it will be still in the motion. But in this situation, it will slow down. The motion will be continued, but the speed will be decreasing. So, what is the other effect of the force? That it may change the speed. Means speed can be changed. So what is here? It may change the speed of an object if it is in motion. So either the speed can be increased or the speed can be decreased also. So that is the second effect, that the speed, it may change the speed of an object. There is another thing also about this you can understand. Now that game is actually disappearing, but still maybe in the rural areas, in the small villages, maybe the children still are playing that thing. And that is the old tire of the bicycle or any vehicle. They make the race of that. Look at the photo here. Can you see what is that boy doing? That boy is playing with that tire. He will take a stick and then put the tire on the road or the floor and hit it with that stick. And then it will move in the direction. Now, maybe there are 2 or 3 friends together are playing it and they have the race. Then what we have to do? We have to continuously hit that tire with the stick so that speed can be increased. And then who will reach the finish line will be the winner. So here continuously we have to apply the force with the stick, and then its speed will be increasing every time. So that is also, you can understand. Other thing I can explain you other like that. The speed is decreasing. When you are riding a bicycle and then you apply the brakes slowly because you see that there is some obstacle in the way. Maybe an animal or a child is crossing the road. Then you have to slow down. How? You apply the brake, means you are applying the force. And due to that force, the speed of your bicycle will be decreased. So, you understand the second one, that it may change the speed of an object if it is in motion. Let's check the third thing. It may change the direction of motion of an object. Means when it is in motion, and if we apply the force, it may, means not always, it may change the direction of the object. Let's take the example of that ball again. Ball is moving towards you. Now, if you put something in the way, like a scale. If you put a scale here, don't take it back, but just keep it there. Now what will happen? The ball will come towards it, and then it will bounce and go in the other direction. Then in the game of cricket, the bowler is throwing the ball toward the batsman. Now batsman wants to make the runs. Then what will he do? He will observe very quickly the situation of the fielders in the ground. Then in that direction at which there is a gap or there are less fielders, he will move the bat in that direction and hit the ball. So what is he doing? He is changing the direction of the ball that is coming towards him. It is coming towards him, and he said that there is a gap. He will move the bat in that direction. So here the change of the direction will be observed. Similarly, in the sports like football, in the football also, you know that they are kicking the ball to change the direction every time and try to reach the ball in the opposite goal post. That time, every time they are applying the force, and every time they change the direction. Also, when you play the badminton or tennis, every time your shuttle or your tennis ball is changing the direction when we hit it with the racket. So in our daily life also we will see lots of examples in which the force may change the direction of motion of an object. Last is that it may change shape of an object. That is also you can understand with the normal situations. Like if you take a rubber band and apply the forces, pull it, then you know that its shape will be changed. It is not like the same small rubber band. Shape can be changed. And if you remove the force, again it comes back into the position. Other example is like you take an inflated balloon. When you blow the air in the balloon, it will get inflated. And you tie a thread along the mouth or the neck, and then the balloon will stay inflated. Now if you hold the balloon between your palms and apply the force, then you will see that the balloon shape will be changed. It will not be the same. It means that the force can change the shape also. You can have that in your kitchen also. When we want to make the dough from the wheat flour or any flour to make some chapatis or rotis or puris or anything, then we need that flour, adding water and oil. Then every time when we apply the force, the shape will be the same? No, every time. You can play with that playing clay. રમવાની માટે પેલી માટી આવે ને, different colors. So from that also you can make a different type of shapes as your imagination. And so that is the, so here as we understand that there can be 1, 2, 3 and 4, that object move from rest, object can the speed of the object can be increase or decrease, the change of the direction also can be happen, and the shape of the object also can be changed. So these are the effects of the forces. In the next session we will learn about the forces which can be contact forces and non-contact forces. We are going to finish today's session, and I will send you some question answers in the PDF file. Write it down, and any query, there is comment section for you. Thank you very much.